is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Sunshine, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. How are you doing? Did you have mic being unplugged? Sorry about that. We have sun, you guys, and it has been glorious. The sun came back to us on Saturday. It stayed the entire weekend. And on top of that, we're also expected to keep the sun for the rest of the to be seeing sun like consistently since like November. And I am over the moon, you guys. You know what I'm doing after this? I already started yesterday when we went to a cafe. I did some of my watercolor painting of like people minding their own business, drinking or having lunch or whatever. And today I'm going to Jardin des Tuileries, and I'm going to be painting the scene over there. And I'm so freaking excited about it. Good morning, KO Queen. Good morning, Jaleesa. Welcome to your first line, Knockout Queen. Good morning, Jaleesa. And yes, we are back on time. Our time. What the deal is with my microphone. So sorry about that. I mainly around. I'm feeling easy peasy about it. Good morning, love Michelle, Leah, Ramster, Michelle, Acacia, V. Marie. Shauna's here, Steph, EHC, Bunny, good morning, Gab Davers, good morning, Lisa, K. Karkahara. How was the Boys to Men concert? Did you have a good time over there? Hope you all are doing well. We've got so much to discuss. In fact, you guys, I actually added some last minute stories as well. I want to talk about Tyler Baltira from Teen Mom Next Chapter. He is continuing to speak out against the adoption industry, and this time he is showing how racism affects the adoption industry as well, in terms of how much it costs to adopt children of different races as well. So that's very, very interesting, and I wanted to share that with you guys. What else? I also added the story about Mark. Do y'all remember Mark from season 1 of Love is Blind? He blindsided his wife with a divorce announcement on Instagram. And this psycho signed her name off on the announcement, and it was news to her. She had no freaking idea. How nuts is that? Ronnie says the time changed for me. Hopefully I can still catch a live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. So sorry. Honestly, I cannot stand this time change stuff because we were all once perfectly in sync, then we were off sync, and now we're back. But some people who were able to join us for the temporary time now can no longer join us, and it sucks. Good morning, Star. You're back. Yes. How was your trip to Miami? Are you back in town? Hope you were having a great time. Nice to see South Africa in the building. Good morning, Lady T. Good morning, Cynthia, April, Tadisha. Wow, you guys, we've got so much to talk about. And yes, it is the 24-year-old Mark. So why don't we start off with him, okay? So basically, guys, when I was recapping season 1 of Love is Blind, I said that this man was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He gets off on playing the victim in his relationship with Jessica, but he is like, 1,000 times worse than her behind the scenes. And now look, right? And we already started seeing like some of his facade cracking during the, that finale show that they used to do after the altar when they would follow everybody after the weddings and whatnot, right? And so that's when we found out that he was leading on 3 different girls. So of course he was leading on Jessica. He was apparently cheating on her throughout their engagement. Then he got with his now wife, soon to be ex-wife, Aubrey, and he was cheating on her, and he was leading on LC as well. He had LC under the impression that they were in an exclusive relationship. Mind you, y'all, this was during the COVID era when you were supposed to have like these little pods of like 5 to 10 people. And you were all supposed to be as safe as possible because at the time, this disease, this infection, whatever, the sickness was spreading like wildfire, and nobody really knew all that much about it. So we were trying to be as safe and as careful as possible, but not this guy. He was trying to sleep with everybody he could. And unfortunately, Aubrey decided to go ahead, marry him, and have 2 of his children. And now he tried playing the family man for a little while until he just couldn't anymore. He had to get back to his thought ways. And she actually exposed him maybe on St. Patrick's Day, I want to say. And so she said that instead of being home with his family, being a provider, he went out to the bars to go pick up women. And I just knew from then on, it was over. So Mark, he didn't say anything when that came out. And now here he is releasing a statement on he and his wife's behalf. Mind you, his wife had no freaking idea that he was planning to divorce her. Crazy. This was his Instagram announcement. It reads, and I quote, "Hey everyone, after a lot of thought and conversations, Aubrey and I decided to part ways a few weeks ago. This wasn't an easy decision, but we both believe it's the best path forward for our individual growth and for our family. Our top priority will always be our boys. We are committed to co-parenting with love, respect, and teamwork so they feel supported and secure every step of the way. As we begin this new chapter, we kindly ask for your understanding and privacy, especially for the sake of our children. We truly appreciate your support and respect during this time. With gratitude, Mark and Aubrey." Wow, listen, it's a wonderful message, and it would have been perfect if Aubrey knew this is how you felt. This is how she found out, you guys, that things had gone to that level. So when she saw that post on Instagram, she took it to the comment section to ask a couple of questions about what the heck it is that was going on. What is this man talking about, right? So here she is in her first comment. She says, "Weird how you signed my name on a conversation we've never had. Respect our privacy, yet haven't had a conversation with me since leaving 2 weeks ago. If anyone's confused, believe me, I am too. He is just trying to cover his bases now that he's on Reddit threads about cheating and out drinking with other women." I'm glad that she didn't hold back. I'm glad that she is calling it out, because it's extremely unfair that men like this, right, like Mark, can run around treating women all kinds of ways and then get away with it. And then the women get labeled crazy, like Jessica was labeled, right? Also difficult, all sorts of nasty things. And then he leaves unscathed. Even LC, when she was blowing the lid off on all of his cheating on TV, you had Pick Me Amber, who was like, "Oh, well, you know what? You're not married, so you're single. He could do whatever he wants." No, she was exposing his poor character. And Amber should have let her speak so that everybody could have seen all of this, right? When it was first happening. And so now here he is back to being the same guy he was always. He always was. And he's married. So I guess to people like Amber, that's more valid, but it's worse. It's worse that this is a married man with 2 young children at home, thotting and bopping since St. Patrick's Day. And then he comes to Instagram to make an announcement about it, claiming that he and his wife had this conversation and that they mutually decided to divorce. He signs her name off on this message to have everybody believe that she even had anything to do with it. But she was blindsided. She was logging on Instagram to maybe look at what other people are posting, maybe to share something from her life, what she's got going on. And this is what she finds: insanity, pure trash. So that wasn't her only response. She also responded to another commenter about the announcement, saying, and I quote, "Oh, this is very real. He posted this with no prior discussion with me. He left on March 17th with no warning or an option for discussion. He said, quote, 'We have drifted apart. I can't provide the life you guys deserve,' while his Uber was waiting in the driveway. He hasn't spoke on our relationship until this." That's what I mean, that this is news to me. This was posted moments after I sent him a Reddit thread about being seen out with other women. A guy's got to cover his tracks, but I guess protecting his image was more important than protecting his family. You know who this man reminds me of? Javi from Teen Mom 2. These people who want, a wife and children as like status symbols or like, symbols of growing up and maturing, but they don't want to be husbands. They don't want to be fathers. They just want you to, to portray an image for them. And that's all that it is. I feel so badly for her that she got wrapped up in this, but at the same time, I got to say, I am not surprised. I'm not. LC exposed this. Jessica exposed this. My YouTube videos exposed this. It was all public knowledge. I'm surprised he lasted this long with the fake Mr. Nice Guy act, but I'm not surprised that it eventually blew up in his face. He is not a family man. He is not husband material. I can't speak to his parenting. I don't know. But he's not husband material. He's not meant to be a family man. So it's extremely sad to me that he brought this woman along for the ride. He brought these children along for the ride to walk out on your children, not because of specific marital issues, but because you want to hang out with random people at the bars for St. Patrick's Day. It's crazy. It's crazy. And like her last message about how he had his Uber waiting, he's like, talking to his wife, his kids are in the background, talking about, yeah, like, I can't be the man y'all need me to be. I'm going to be at the bar. Deuces. That's crazy. That is crazy, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Good luck to you, Lauren. I don't know what this man does for work. I want you to go for spousal support. I want you to go for child support. But is he someone who makes that much money? I don't know. I think he was a personal trainer. So if he's got a lot of clients or if he's doing these online, clients, online training or whatever, maybe. But I really hope she got some good money out of this. Oh, KO Queen was in Uruguay. That's amazing. I have some friends who actually just went to Uruguay. How was it? It looks so beautiful and so underrated. Sorry, Theo. We're back to 10 a.m. I'm sorry, boo. Stars back in Philly. Miami was expensive AF. Amen. Amen. I have heard that. But I'm glad you had a good time. You deserved that getaway. Ali said Mark has shifty eyes. Yup. Listen, he tried so hard to be portrayed as the victim, as the puppy dog. It was all an act. He knew that the way he acted would get Jessica villainized, crucified, and would have him heralded as this amazing guy who deserves more. And so he knew that there would be a lot of sympathy coochie thrown his way. And so he took full advantage of that. Shay says, and that's why I could not stand Amber. She was so disrespectful and rude and thinking just because somebody isn't married that they're not entitled to respect and monogamy from our relationship. Exactly. Honestly, the way she was speaking to Elsie was disgusting. Mind you, she had been married for like a whopping year at that point, which congratulations, but stop it. Stop it. You were expecting monogamy from Barnett before you got married to him, right? You were upset at him for dating other people in a show about dating other people. But Elsie can't be mad that this man cheating on her caused her to get sick with an illness that we didn't even know how dangerous it was at the time. She was just so damn insufferable. Ramster asks, who are these women who now get involved with this guy? And most of all, what is the exact? That's what I don't understand. And y'all remember in Friday's episode of the Morning Report, we talked about one of Andrew Tate's girlfriends filing a police report. To me, the stuff he did to her, first of all, I believe her, right? And the stuff that he did to her was not shocking to me. The thing that's shocking to me is how anybody could be interested in this person who has been very, very open about the fact that he literally despises women. I don't know what some men have to do for women to be turned off and to avoid them, But you know what? In these women's defense, the alleged mistresses, maybe they don't remember or know who he is because he was on season 1 of Love is Blind. So all about Minnie. That's cute. Elsie is from season 1 of Love is Blind. And so she wasn't a main cast member. She was in this love triangle with Barnett, with Amber, and with Jessica as well. But you mainly saw her on After the Altar. So if you want to like see her in action, I would recommend you watch After the Altar, because that's where you're mainly going to see her. She's a very, very beautiful, very, very sweet girl. And so she got involved with Mark after the show. They were supposedly exclusively dating. But when she got sick with COVID, that is how she found out that this man had been sleeping around town. And then Jessica, his original fiance from the show, she found out that this man was sleeping with half the gym that he was meant to be coaching. He is a player from the Himalayas. You know, God bless you, Aubrey. I'm sad that you're stuck with him for life now, but listen, you're still young. You can find yourself, a better man. You can, but for the time being, I think it's best to heal and just take care of your kids. This can't be easy. It really can't. I feel badly for her. Good morning, Joy. Good morning. Just lovely. Nice to see y'all here. Guys, if you're enjoying this episode of the Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that you enjoy my content and you want to see more videos like it. Okay, you guys? Now, why don't we get into Tyler Baltera? Remember, I told y'all this was like a bonus kind of like story that I'm adding to today's episode, because I forgot that I even had this screenshot. So I was minding his own business on Instagram the other day over the weekend. I think it was a Saturday. And we already know that he and Caitlyn are extremely upset about their adoption situation with Carly, right? They feel as though they were misled by the adoption agency, by the adoptive parents. They really want to speak out on the dark side of adoption. A lot of people are very much against this, and I can see why, but I do think it is important that we continue to shed a light on how adoption isn't necessarily all sunshine, daisies, rainbows, or whatever. It can go very wrong. It is inherently like a very painful and traumatic thing in general, right? So I do applaud them for speaking out, speaking their truth, but I do think that sometimes there might be some things that they say that they take it too far. Okay, I will say that for sure. But he did post this on Saturday about how the quote unquote price of adoption changes depending on the race or ethnicity of a child. Okay, so this is his Instagram story. And someone messaged him, I didn't know you paid different prices for different race, ethnicity, health, right? And so he shared some examples of that. So there's a program for adopting Caucasian children, and that ranges from $10,000 to $15,000. If you're looking to adopt I believe this one was African-American child, you're looking between $8,000 to $13,000. Sorry, what is this? Hang on. Are you guys seeing this? Do I need glasses, y'all? Give me one quick second. What is that one in the middle? I got to pull this up on the side here. Hang on one second, you guys. So if you want to choose the race of the baby that you are comfortable with, so if you want to be the one to choose, then you can adopt this child from $8,000 to $13,000. And so we will advertise you to birth parents of all mixed and full races, with the exception of the full Caucasian race. You can also narrow it down and select the mixed or full races you want to be advertised to. The full African-American race is also available in this program if you are open to. And then on the first one, the exclusive program, it was saying our exclusive program allows you to adopt a full Caucasian baby only. We will advertise you to full Caucasian birth parents and no other race or race combinations. Then in the last one, the full African-American program, our full African-American program allows you to adopt only a full African-American baby. We will advertise you to full African-American birth parents only and no other race or race combinations. And that is the cheapest one. That is the cheapest program. Damn, $4,000 to $9,000. And he asks, is this ethical? And you know what? You guys, the phone lines are going to be open at the end of this episode. I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this is ethical? I doubt you guys are surprised that this is the situation. I believe it's pretty much always been this way. But you know what? I think he's asking important questions. I think he's opening our eyes to different things. He's sparking discussions about things or aspects of the adoption industry that we don't typically discuss. And that, I think, is important. I do, right? Joy asks, that can't be ethical. What? See? Malen says, love Tyler. and Caitlin. While most of the cast are Trumpers, Tyler and Kate still support trans and LGBTQIA rights and minorities, right? I think they're great people. I do. Of course, like anybody, sometimes they put their foot in their mouth. Sometimes, they get it wrong. But I think, in their heart of hearts, they are good people. Acacia says, wow, right? Ramster says, is that like a private organization? It looks like it. Let me put it back up. KO says it sounds like an auction. And it does. It's kind of scary when you think about that. Because when you think of auctioning humans, what do you think about? I know what I think about. Hey, Hamlet. Hamlet's princess says, this is engaging, really, right? Right. It's interesting. These conversations need to be had. Ashley says, not ethical at all. So let me put it back up and we're going to see what exactly, what agency or whatever in particular we are looking at here. So he has cropped out the name of this agency, right? But they just have different programs. Our exclusive program, our conventional program, our full African American program, And so some of the things that you are paying for in these programs include marketing and advertising, home study, legal services, social worker, attorney, and birth mother state fee determined by the state. And then there is a tax credit. Okay, so there's a tax credit for adopting. So one thing that I noticed that's very interesting is that I don't want to, it sounds crass to say it, but you almost want to say to buy a Caucasian baby. Let me keep this back up, okay, you guys? Quote unquote, to buy or to adopt a Caucasian baby, you pay more for marketing and advertising. You'd be paying about $17,000 versus for a child of any race, any random race, that would be $15,000. And then if you want to have an African American baby, then you'd only be spending $10,000 on marketing. $17,000 versus $10,000. It's almost half off, right? So the home study, however, that seems to stay the same, which is good, legal services, 6,000 to 10,000. Okay, that stays consistent. So it's about marketing. Marketing is the major thing that drives the price down. Lord. Oh, Lord. Don't forget, you guys, I will be opening the phone lines because I genuinely want to hear what y'all have to say about this. It's a very interesting conversation starter, to say the least. Star says, putting a price on humans is disgusting. We should only be paying for the service. I'm happy Tyler and Kate spread awareness of adoption aftermath. I agree. I do. Steph says, there is a book called Before We Were Yours that is historical fiction based on the start of adoption in the US. Very eye-opening. Steph, you know what? Your avatar describes you very well. I get the vibe that you read a lot of books. You came here directly with a book recommendation. I've starred your comment and put it to the side so I can go ahead and find this book. I have like Spotify Premium, and I assume a lot of you guys have it too, but it allows you to like listen to audiobooks for free. So I think that's what I'm going to do, try and find that over there. And if not, then I'll go ahead and get a copy of the book, right? Oh, Hamlet's meant enraging, right? Ashley says, I work for social services. We deal in adoptions as well, but we pay the caregivers, not the other way around. It's so nice to have someone from inside of the field to share some insights. Milan says, because Black babies are not desirable, are usually the least adopted babies. That's so sad. It is. It is. Steph says also Orphan Train, I have heard, is a good book. Look at you living up to your profile picture, and I love it. Thank you so much for the book recommendations. So Ramster's asking if this is the agency that Kate and Tyler use. Honestly, he cut out the name of the actual program here. So I would have to take a look and then get back to you guys in tomorrow's episode of the Morning Report. So keep an eye out for that. But for the time being, listen, I do appreciate that he has shared this information, because a lot of people don't really think about these things when they think about adoption, right? In fact, there's, speaking of books, Steph, there's another book, and there was an author that Tyler and I were supposed to do a live collaboration with about adoption and whatnot. I'm going to circle back with him. It's very, very difficult to nail him down for a time, but there's an author, and we had spoken to her about, her, because she has done, I think she's an anthropologist, and she has been studying adoption and how it kind of is like a form of human trafficking. It's very often unethical, right? And so we wanted to have that conversation. And you know what? If it's going to be too hard to track or to nail Tyler down, then we might have to just go ahead and do it with the author, because this is an important conversation to have, right? Sham Jam, nice to see you. So essentially, they're putting a value on human life based on race. I'm not surprised. Yep, they are. They are, right? Very, very sad stuff. It is, and they're really sticking their necks out to put this information out there. A lot of people are upset with them for blowing the lid or whistleblowing on the fact that adoption is not just this beautiful, perfect thing that it has been portrayed. Sometimes children are stolen, right? Even in like certain countries. How many times have you heard about children from China being stolen, and sold to people, families around the world, particularly in the US and Canada and in Europe, right? How many times do you hear about that happening with children from Africa? Isn't that what happened with one of Angelina Jolie's children? I don't want to name them, but I'm picturing one. And I remember that there was this whole story about how she was portrayed as being an orphan, but her mother was very much alive and her mom was fighting to have her back. And then there was another child that she adopted, right? I think this was from Cambodia. She didn't like the name. It's a name that is, I guess, not American enough because it's not an American child. So she decided to change his name. Like, she's renaming a dog. These are important conversations to have. It doesn't mean that anybody who adopts a child is bad or adoption is bad. No, it's just there are certain parts of it, certain aspects that need to be re-examined, discussed, and challenged so that we could make it into a better system. And so again, kudos to Caitlin and Tyler for having these conversations. Okay. Now, somebody's saying that was Madonna's child. Was it Madonna? Okay. Is that the Madonna's child, the one that she got from Malawi? I don't remember her name, but I could have sworn this happened with Angelina Jolie's child too. I think Angelina had 2 problematic adoptions, but yeah, maybe. Right? Lots of very, very, very sad stuff. SW says her child from Ethiopia. So it looks like it was Angelina Jolie and it was Madonna. And then Angelina Jolie also renamed her child Paxton. That's the renamed version of him. I don't remember what his original name was, but she does that. So to take a child from a different country, raise them completely, away from their culture, completely strip their name, which is a signifier of their culture as well. Is that ethical? Is that okay? Is that in the child's best interest? But she's rich though. So, okay, the child has a better quality of life because she's rich is what a lot of people are going to say, right? Interesting conversations. Now, there was something else that happened over the weekend. Listen, y'all, I was enjoying this rare sunlight. I wasn't online to see this. Thank God, because it's very upsetting. Somebody took a photo of Caitlin and Tyler's biological daughter, Carly, right? Who is now Brandon and Teresa's daughter. Somebody took her photo and started spreading it online. Again, I didn't see it. I was outside this weekend, but that is what I heard because of this post that Caitlin and Tyler shared on Instagram. The irony here is that the same pages and people who continuously bash me and Ty for just speaking about our adoption publicly are now spreading an actual picture of her publicly. The hypocrisy is literally insane to me. Tyler says that they have all become / done the exact thing they claim to hate. Guys, who would do that? She is a private citizen. Yeah, she was featured on this show as an infant, as a baby. But when she started growing up, the parents started making sure that her face was not plastered out there. Why would a grown person be trolling around the internet, social media pages for pictures of a child, especially a child that has no relation to them? That is creepy behavior. It's very weird. It's stalker behavior. It's borderline PDF behavior. Why would anybody need to do that? She is not your child. She is not related to you in any way. Don't do that. That's weird. Oh my goodness. The fact that you even have to tell grown people not to do that kind of stuff. That's crazy. Thank God I did not see that photo. I just, wow. How do you not feel like you're violating somebody's privacy when you share that sort of image or when you go out searching for that sort of image? Shem says, I adopted my dog from the shelter. He was 5 years old at the time. I didn't even change his name, and he's a dog. I figured, exactly. He already went by that name his whole life. Why change it? Exactly. You are an empathetic person who put the dog before themselves. You went, hey, listen, I would prefer for this dog to have a different name, but this dog is used to this name. This dog identifies with this name. If I call this name, the dog responds. It had a whole life with this name. Why would I strip that of this dog? And the fact that, no offense, and this is no hate against Angelina Jolie, I like her, but the fact that she didn't feel that way about a human child, it's weird. It is, right? Julissa says, I thought there were, yeah, I think Zahara is the one where they falsely portrayed her as an orphan. And this is something that a lot of children from Western countries, or is it Eastern? From Africa, from Asia, this is something that happens to a lot of them, where they are portrayed as being orphans, but their parents are very much alive. Gabby says, Gabber Dabber says, they say though they would be getting the child back after a certain point. Oh yeah, they thought. That was very, very misleading on their part, because in fact, and again, I am reading their book, Conquering Chaos. I read that for my channel members. So maybe you've seen that over there because you are a channel member, Gabber Dabbers. But in the most recent chapter that I read for you guys, I put that out on Friday, I want to say. They talked about how they wanted it to be a closed adoption up until the very end. They did not even want to see photos. They did not even want to visit her. So how do you go from that up until the very end when you give birth to thinking all of a sudden that you were giving off the child for a long-term babysitting plan? See, that part I disagree with them on, like, again, I feel bad for them. I don't think that they were given the due process as two minors adopting out a child. They did not have an actual lawyer advocating for them, nothing. So I do think they were taken advantage of. But when it comes to things like that, I'm like, okay, no, that's a little bit too much. Par contre, a little bit too much, however. Ramster says Madonna adopted her daughter, but her daughter's father is still alive. Oof. You see, there is an ugly underbelly to the adoption industry. There is a human trafficking component to the adoption industry. And this reminds me as well of surrogacy, right? Like, we see all these celebrities all of a sudden, none of them, are giving birth to their own children anymore, right? It's this whole surrogacy thing, which raises this other question, what's going on? And there's a documentary, I forgot what it's called, but some of these surrogates that people around the world are using, these rich women who don't, who want to outsource childbirth, the risks of pregnancy and childbirth, some of the women who are being used as surrogates are trafficked from like Ukraine, from Eastern Europe, particularly, so it's all very complicated. It is, there are beautiful sides to surrogacy, just like there are beautiful sides to adoption, but there are very ugly sides as well. As Dolby says, I think the model Halima said something about this during 2020. She did call out, when a celebrity is calling out a fellow celebrity, that is bad. They typically avoid, even if the person did something terrible, heinous, they typically avoid calling each other out. So to me, that's an open and shut case. That something truly, went wrong there. Again, you guys, don't forget, I will be opening up the phone lines. I'm seeing so many comments here, which is amazing. It really means that this message is important to you guys. It's got you passionate, it's got you thinking and stuff. And so I think that is mainly Caitlin and Tyler's goal when they share these aspects of their adoption story or the adoption industry in general, right? And so kudos to them for that. These conversations need to be had. Good morning, Denise. Nice to see you. Oh, how joyous your photo is. I love, love, love. It makes me want to be on a tire swing. It makes me want to be on a tire swing for some reason. I'm picturing you in the park with your baby, having the time of your life. I want to be the baby. No bills, just vibes. Hamlet says, whoever spread that picture of Carly is sick. I agree. Kay, what a cute doggy. Oh my God. Where are these podcasts? I tried searching and couldn't find them anyway. Are you talking about on Spotify, the audiobooks? Just search the name of a book that you like and then go to the audiobook section. And then if you have Spotify Premium, you will be able to listen to it for free. You guys, we got to get into the Kanye West story. Like I said, the phone lines will be open at the end of this. In fact, let me go ahead and put that link out to the channel members so y'all can get ready, okay? and then we'll open it up to everybody else afterwards. But yeah, we're going to get into Kanye West's story next, because that one is also disturbing. So first of all, he did an interview with academics, or should I say whackademics, who is this content creator who got banned, who got banned really recently from Twitch. It was only for a little while, which goes to show you how seriously they take this sort of thing. Do you know why this man was banned temporarily from Twitch? Because he admitted on air to allegedly grooming a minor. He was making these very weird, inappropriate, sexually charged comments to a minor boy on Twitch. And it was this huge thing. And Twitch only temporarily banned him. Says a lot about that platform, right? So anyway, this is who Kanye was just problematic on every level, right? So this is who he chooses to have a conversation with, just to set the stage. Then when we get to his home and he opens the door, take a look at his necklace. Swastika. Take a look at his shirt. Sean John, repping Diddy. So you got an alleged PDF file. You're wearing something repping Diddy, who is currently facing charges for trafficking and for just brutalization of women and girls, and allegedly little boys too. Then you're also wearing a swastika necklace. He hasn't even said anything verbally, but he has said everything at the same time in this one picture alone, right? Plus the chandelier is dated, but we're not going to get into that. Anyway, let's get into the next. He says, no, this isn't scandalous enough. Who y'all, you guys used to watch Chappelle's show. Who's that? Clayton Bigsby, the black white supremacist. He says, let me go full Clayton Bigsby on y'all and wear a black KKK getup and talk about how I regret having kids with Kim Kardashian. Oh, Lord. So he says that he knew within 2 months of being with Kim that he never wanted to have any kids with her. Yeah, he had 4. Make that make sense. And we saw them trying to have these kids on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. There were even moments when they were doing photo shoots. She goes, oh, I'm ovulating. This is the perfect time. And they would run to a closet to bang it out. And you want us to believe that you never want to have kids with this woman? 4, 2 of which are produced via surrogate, meaning you went to these doctor's appointments with this woman. You filled up a cup with sperm. You selected, because he's all about that, DNA selection. You went through all of that with this woman. And we're supposed to believe you never wanted to have kids with this woman and you knew within 2 months? He's crazy. He's crazy. What is he talking about? And the gag is that he was chasing this woman around. He has been obsessed with her forever. How many times have you seen this man come out publicly and say that he always knew that he would make Kim Kardashian his wife? That was his dream girl. He was making songs about her when he was with Amber Rose. Remember, there's that Knock You Down with Carrie Hilson. And then he says, the girl of my dreams that seemed to only date the head of football teams. I was a class clown. I always kept you laughing. We were never meant to be baby. We just had it. That was about Kim. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe you never wanted her. You never wanted to have kids with her. Get the F out of here. How hurtful is it for him to sit up there and say something like that on camera? His children will be so ashamed of him when they realize just how profoundly disturbing all of this is. The swastika, the Sean John, the KKK getup. It's incredible what he's doing. Again, I keep saying this man is moving like somebody who is on borrowed time. This is not a sustainable way to live. So, yeah. So when it comes to why he's mainly upset about the situation with his children, it seems like he lost his quote unquote property to Kim Kardashian. He keeps on talking about the fact that he doesn't own his children's name and a likeness. He lost control of that in the divorce to Kim. And so he talks about the settlement of this divorce, and then he likens his children to his business assets, right? So this is his direct quote from the interview. And let me put up that picture so we could really soak in how off the wall this man is. Kanye West said, and I quote, "Of all the brands I've made, I don't got the name and likeness, or at least 50-50 with my kids. My kids are celebrities and I don't have the say-so." So these are just business assets to him. Okay, Kanye, we see you. And then per usual, he's bringing race into it. Kanye, you are as anti-Black as they come. You did not want Black children. That's why you had children with Kim Kardashian and not a Black woman, okay? Which, whatever floats your boat. But then to consistently turn around to the Black community and say, this white woman's taking my kids from me, my Black kids, right? So he pulls it again. He said, so this white woman and this white family have the control of these highly influential Black kids that are half the children of Ye. Stop it. What Black kids? Your children are biracial and that's okay. Kim is multiracial and that's okay too. And none of that has anything to do with the fact that you chose to go down this road. And none of that has anything to do with the safety, the health, or the well-being of these children. You were just trying to be as inflammatory as possible. And for you to act like the race, the color, or whatever, the Blackness of your children is so important while you're over here as a Black man wearing a swastika and wearing a KKK hood. I'm sorry, but Black children are not safe with anybody like this. This is honest. What timeline are we in, you guys? Because this is crazy. This is crazy. What is happening? Would you trust Black children with somebody who runs around calling themselves a Nazi? With someone who rocks swastikas? Would someone who rocks Klan hoods? I don't think so. So why should Kim? I think that her Black children are better off with her. I think they are safer with her. And I really think that she needs to just go ahead and file for sole custody at this point. If you guys weren't here for my Wednesday or Thursday episode of the morning report last week, I want y'all to go back on my channel after this in my videos and check out the video that I had made about, what was it? It's entitled TMZ Turns on Kim or something like that, because it was crazy. That episode of the TMZ podcast, Harvey Levin, he was saying that Kim has a duty at this point to file for sole custody because Kanye has become someone who is incredibly dangerous to these children. And it's not just the Nazi, not just the KKK. It's also the fact that he tried to bring his underage daughter around Andrew Tate, who is someone who is facing human trafficking charges, right? Or ex-trafficking charges. And it's all of this stuff combined. He's saying if she does not go and file for full custody, she risks having these children taken from her by CPS and put into the care of another family member. Because trying to reason with him, trying to negotiate with him is not enough. There needs to be a paper trail on this man at this point. That guy, he was going in on Kim. Like, he was pissed. He was livid. Bunny says Kanye's a liar. North is the only child conceived naturally. Oh, the rest was a choice. They were test tube babies. Really? Not even Saint was conceived naturally? My God. And I agree with you, Theo. He's like an edgelord, preteen edgelord who trolls 4chan all day, right? We're tired. We are so tired of this man and the same old nonsense. Like he says, Kanye needs to be put under. Exactly. How is it possible for him to run around this way? No conservatorship, but a woman sneezes the wrong way and she's under a conservatorship. Milan says, AKA Diddy, Diddy should be embarrassed for platforming him, right? But Diddy should not even have a platform himself. He was using it to allegedly groom underage boys. Birds of a freaking feather, right? Hey, Millie. Just a mess, a mess. And it is true. SW, Kim has her own things, about the Balenciaga and stuff and trying to help them with their image after the weird children photos. But it's nowhere near what Kanye's up to at this point. EHC says, my neighbor was a Black German who lived through the Nazi regime. The Nazis castrated her father. Ooh, I tweeted Kanye the facts about Blacks and Nazis and he deleted it. He knows but chooses to ignore. Oh, I'm so sorry for your friend. That was painful to even read. And like the way that he champions it, he makes light of it, is just so pathetic and so disgusting. How did his Black Panther mother and I don't know anything about his father though, but you have a mother who's so educated, who's so pro-Black. How do you end up like this? Star says, based on his ego, I think he scorned that last time he was anti-Semitic, his net worth dropped. He wants to show he can be without serious consequences. It's disturbing. It is disturbing. Kanye West, at this point, listen. I'm so sad about how music artists are just crashing out left, right, and center and showing us that they ain't SHIT. There are so many artists that I love that I can no longer listen to in good conscience, and I'm running out here. All I've got right now is my Queen Bee. That's all I've got, and a couple others. But I'm so sad. I used to love R. Kelly's music. I had to stop. I used to love Brian McKnight's music. I had to stop. He wasn't doing this weirdo stuff, but he was doing other weirdo stuff, which is not claiming his kids now that he's got a new wife. And all these kids, aren't they all named different variations of Brian? That type of stuff. There are just so many people. Chris Brown. I used to be a Chris Brown fanatic. I can't anymore. Very, very disappointing, very disturbing stuff. So why don't we get into the teen mom Macy book out story? Okay, so we're going to do that. Then I'm going to open up the phone lines. Then we're going to get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, how about that? Because I know it's getting late and some of you guys have to, have some other things to do. So we're going to do that. We're going to get into Macy book out. I have a little quick story and then we'll open up the phone lines. Look at me. I'm so silly. I thought I had already put it over there in my channel members section. Yeah, hang on. Members. I'm going to give you guys the link and then you guys can go ahead and call me in. And then after, we're going to be opening it up to the general public as well. Okay, you guys. So Macy book out, y'all know she is in a hell of a lot of tax debt, right? It's like $750,000, almost $1 million worth of tax debt. And it turns out she was actually like behind the scenes making some pretty smart financial choices outside of not paying her taxes, of course, right? And so she managed to sell off one of the homes in her real estate portfolio. It was actually two homes combined, so I'll say a duplex in her real estate portfolio. And that netted her about $50,000 worth of profits so that she could put it towards her tax debt. Will she actually put it towards her tax debt? I don't know. Right? Doesn't seem like she's been making a lot of moves towards it. But here's my thing that I don't get. Taylor is paid for being on the show, just like Macy is paid for being on the show. And Taylor has been, by the way, channel members, I put the link over in the community tab. Check it out, and then we'll file it, okay? And then I'll put it out for your GP as well, okay? So Taylor has been making money for the show. Macy has been making money from the show. Why? And then they've bought these homes and stuff. Why are they not just downgrading their lifestyle, living off of the salary of one of them, plus the money that they're supposedly making from her podcast, from their clothing brand and stuff like that, and then pay all of this down? Because that debt amount has been the same for going on 7 years now, I believe. Or maybe they're only making little payments and that's why it's the same versus increase. I don't know. But I really wish that they were making smarter moves to get rid of this. Listen, Teen Mom is not going to be around forever. So they really, really need to take this time to go ahead and pay it down. Right? Because the interest and everything. Here, you guys, I put the call-in link so you guys can come on over and comment on the stories that interest you, okay? So yeah, I just don't get it. So anyway, the house that she just sold off, she purchased in November of 2021 for $190,000, and she just sold it to a local businessman for $240,000 in December of last year, making $50,000 from the transaction. Mind you, this is something that I found rather interesting about it. The house was only bought in Macy's name. Taylor's name was not on the deed or anything like that. And so this is a profit. This is a transaction that only goes under Macy. I don't get it, you guys. I think that Taylor could even stand to work outside of the house. I don't really know what he does all day. I know that he had bought the clothing company. It was his idea in the first place. But on the show, Macy's always made it rather clear that she's the one who handles the majority of it. So she's handling the majority of that. If she's handling a lot of the child care stuff, right? Including the majority of the stuff with Bentley. If she's handling her podcast, what is this man doing all day? Why can't he go back to work and then put that salary towards this? Or maybe he can look into some other business or something like that, and then put his salary towards helping to pay down this debt. They are a duo. They make a good amount of money, the two of them. This money should be, I don't want to say easy for them to pay off, but they should be a lot further along than they are right now. Kay says, these rich people never seem too concerned about taxes. Is there a loophole where that normal? Exactly. I'm wondering. I think it's because, normal people who are employees, their taxes are already taken out. So there's not too much to worry about. But with the rich people, they see all that money and they do not want to part with it. They really don't. And so they say, okay, well, I just want to splurge on this one thing, this one vacation, this one car, this one boat, this one boob job, something. And then they just keep kicking the can down the line. Before you know it, a year has passed, 2 years, et cetera, and it's all added up. Jaleesa says, Kanye used to be so aware of social issues, right? The Katrina rant, and then he got rich and lost the plot. And, thank you for bringing that up, Jaleesa. Because I was at this museum. There's a museum that I really love here in Paris. It's not, and it's like kind of, I don't want to say a little known, but it's not one that tourists really think about. But it's Musée du Quai Branly, and it's near the Eiffel Tower. So you can, if ever you're in the 16th or whatever, and you want to see the Eiffel Tower, I would recommend you to go to this museum as well. And so it's kind of like a cultural museum. And so I had taken my friend, because she's an artist. She's like a full-time professional artist. She did her residency in Jamaica. She's done it in Nigeria. Right now she is in Holland for it. And so she was looking for inspiration. So I took her there, and then they had this exhibition on slavery, I believe it is, African-American slavery, and just the history and everything like that. And Kanye was featured over there. He was featured as a figure at the time. And so that particular moment where he was speaking out about how the lack of help was a symptom of racism, it was a big moment, and it was featured in this museum. So just to think that man went from that to this, it is just so, it boggles the mind. How does it even happen? Truly, how? And I don't want to hear anything, oh, his mom died this, I'm sorry, it's sad that his mom died, but your mom dying does not lead you to become a Nazi. It does not lead you to pledge allegiance to the KKK. It doesn't. There's something else at play here, and it's very ugly. JG says that she would go as far as to get, oh, what a beautiful sunset. Oh, I love that. I would go, golden hour indeed. I would go as far as to get a restraining order. Honestly, she should go as far as she can with all of this. This is terrible. It's terrible. It's sad and it's scary, and it's psychologically damaging to the children to hear this, to hear their father say that he didn't want to have children. That's crazy. Acacia says, none of the team mom cash should be in debt. Props to Kale with all her. Exactly. Kale didn't even have parents to help her through all this stuff, right? And you've never heard about her having tax issues. Macy's parents seemed particularly successful and stuff, upwardly mobile. Where's the education for her? Weird. Taylor seems to come from a good family too. What about him? Ronnie says she wishes she could call, but she's at work. I figured that's the case. No worries, you guys. Listen, I'm going to keep the phone line open in case anybody wants to call in about that or any topic that we just discussed, including, let me recap it for you guys, okay? And I know you guys are working or doing other things, so no worries. But we had discussed Mark from Love is Blind, blindsiding his wife with a divorce on Instagram. We have talked about Tyler exposing a little bit more about the adoption industry and how different races of children cost more than others. We talked about Kanye regretting having children with Kim Kardashian and just the general mess that all that was. Macy getting out of, well, not getting out of tax debt, her actually selling a home for $50,000 that I hope she'll put towards her tax debt. Oh, look, we've got Ashley calling in. Hey, Ashley, how are you?
Hey Grace, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. What did you think of the stories? What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to just speak about the Tyler and Caitlyn situation.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I know they get a lot of criticism in regards to the adoption and how they're handling it, but I do kind of have a soft spot for them in a way, because, like you said, they were teenagers when they made this decision. And also, we have to look at the underlying traumas that each one of them has and they were dealing with during their current situation, coming from homes with
Mm-hmm.
parents who were addicts themselves,
Yeah.
coming from poverty and other situations that we probably don't know about.
Yeah.
You know, throughout watching the show, because I've watched the show since inception, I'm 33.
Ooh, you're my
So,
age. I love it.
33. Well, I'll be 33, proudly this year. But I
Yeah.
remember watching it and seeing Caitlyn struggle with this decision, not really wanting to, let go of her child, and Tyler being more for it, thinking that he
Mm-hmm.
was more logical and she was more emotional.
Yeah.
But ultimately, thinking that they made the right decisions. But if my memory recalls, I always thought that before the situation that their adoption was actually open, like there was no contingencies on it or anything. And I understand from the adoptive parents' perspective that they want to protect the child. But I think they're kind of doing the child a disservice at the end, because it's not like Carly does not already know Caitlyn and Tyler, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think there's some communication issues going on here as well, because um, if this was Carly's sole decision, to separate, they should allowed her to make that decision. Children, teens, they should have, rights over who they see and who they don't see, especially if it's not detrimental to their health. I
Mm-hmm.
also think about Nova. I'm not gonna lie, I did see the photo, not on purpose. I did not go searching for it. It was on my For You page. I thought it was Nova.
Oh,
I was,
okay. I
yeah, it
see.
was on my For You page until I realized in the picture she was with her adopted mom, and I'm like, oh, that's not Nova.
Oh
But
no.
I think about it from
Yeah.
yeah, I think about it from Nova's perspective as well. She looks just like her, so it's like you're not only cutting her off from Tyler and Kate, you're breaking her tie with her her siblings. She already.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you can tell, but I do work in the social services field, so I try to look
Mhm.
at both perspectives. And you know, adoption is very hard, especially for the children. Adults
Amen.
aside.
I agree. And I love the way that you look at all sides, including Nova's side, because that's a side that we forget about. We're a lot of times when we're talking about the situation, you're talking about Caitlin and Tyler, Brandon and Teresa, but it is true that we forget about the siblings, right? And I don't know if you saw the most recent episode of the show, but in fact, one of the issues that Caitlin and Tyler had was that Brandon and Teresa didn't want for Nova, I believe, to be referring to Carly as her sister or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think that's
rough.
very cruel. So it kind of, I don't know, that's like a character thing. I'm like, if
Yeah.
it's true, you know,
Hmm.
like why wouldn't you want her as her sister? And when I saw that picture, I was like, maybe it's because they couldn't assimilate Carly as they wanted to, because she looks. I mean, they just spit out another Nova when they had her. I mean, another Carly when they had Nova.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
it's
That's
ridiculous. Like smile,
uh-huh.
face, features, every. I know they have the same birth mother and father, but you
Wow.
know how Beta kind of, Beta has her own look, but she does look like her.
Yeah. So you're saying
I
that
mean,
Carly looks more like Nova than Veda looks like Nova?
yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you
I'm
for
like,
this.
oh, this. I'm like, oh, this what Carly's gonna look. I mean, Nova's gonna look like when she gets older. But
Oh
the
my
the
God.
even the size, like they're both skinny. You know how Nova's really skinny and stuff.
Yeah.
Slender face. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they
Wow.
look
Oh my God.
exactly like hair
I hope
color.
Carly I hope Carly is happy where she is, but like, hearing you talk about her and her resemblance to Nova, it really makes me hope that one day they will be able to have like some sort of a relationship. It's not going to be a normal sister relationship, of course, but it would be beautiful for her to have that if that's what she wants.
Hopefully, like I said, I deal in social service and with children, and there's a lot of instances where once the child reaches the age of maturity, they do reach back out to their parents, even even if their separation was due to abuse. They reach out to their parents. They attempt to reach out to their siblings. I don't know how many of my 18-year-old clients have asked me if they could adopt their siblings once they
Really?
turned 18. Yeah, even if they're, because I'm from the state of California. Here we have something called the Extended Foster Care Program.
Uh-huh.
So, unlike the stories, we don't just kick the kids out once they turn 18. If they choose to do extended foster care, we assist them with, independency. So a lot of them, once they get into that stage, they'll ask, "Hey, you think I can adopt my sibling? You think I can adopt my sibling?" The answer is no, because they're still in the system themselves and they can't.
Really? Oh, hello? I think we cut out. Ashley? I think she cut out, but oh my God, we're getting some really interesting information here. It's really nice to talk to somebody who works in the social care field to get to know a little bit more about what actually happens behind the scenes and how recruitment can be done. In this case, just hearing the way she was describing not Nova, sorry, but listen, she said they sounded so similar that I've got Nova on my mind, but hearing the way that she's describing Carly and, oh, do you hear us, Ashley?
Yes, can you hear me?
I do. Sorry, you cut out. I was just
Sorry,
saying
I
that.
got a call. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
no worries, no worries. I think it's so, so amazing what you're doing to help family, to help children. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you. And I know when people hear the word social worker, they're like, "Oh no!" Like, but
Yeah.
honestly, I think this generation, I know we still hear stories about things that can be done. Like you said, the system in regards to adoption and social services, when it comes to abuse and neglect children, yes, the system needs to change as a whole, and we need to vet the workers that are working with these children. But there are many and plenty of workers out here doing their due deals to make
Mhm.
sure that these children are in the right place and that their assessment for their placements and the people that they are assigned to, if they are taking out the home, that we're putting them in the best places possible.
Mhm. Amen.
You know.
Amen to that. And thank you for what you do, Ashley. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm on the way to see one of my adoptees right now. On my off
Oh,
day at that. Yes, he's being adopted
beautiful.
by his aunt though. Beautiful lady. She
Yeah.
has 5 kids of her own. I'm just gonna big her up real quick, even though she doesn't watch this.
Oh, that is so amazing. Wow, she really, really, truly loves children. What she's doing is amazing, just like what you're doing is amazing. Thank you, Ashley. And you know what? I would love, I'm going to be,
No, I'm sorry.
no worries. I'm going to be recapping teen. Oh, she dropped out, but I didn't know she was a social worker, so that's really incredible. I wanted more of her thoughts about like the race thing that Tyler put out about how different children of different races, like adopting them, cost different prices. I want more information on that. So Ashley, if you're listening, feel free for another episode or something. Hey, Milan, how are you?
Hello, Grace.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm good, thanks. What did you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Kanye thing.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
please do. Uh-huh.
I feel like Kanye, maybe he has a mental health problem, but I feel like he's using it to hurt people
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
because in the interview he told Akadedi he was evil.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I found out something funny because it's funny like Kanye now is supporting P Diddy.
Yeah.
And Jason Lee told uh you remember Kanye his first Nazi rant he was on a podcast named Drink Champ.
I do remember. Yeah.
Yes, and the podcaster who was interviewing Kanye wrote to Jason Lee say I don't want to put out the interview because it will hurt Kanye's career and maybe Adidas will drop him. And
Oh.
because the podcast was on Diddy's
Revolt?
Revolt TV,
Ah,
and Diddy told them to put it out. So Diddy was the reason, is the reason why Kanye's um, interview where he was saying all this racist, narcissist thing,
yeah.
because the interviewer didn't want to put it out. He told Jason Lee that he don't want to put it out, but P Diddy told him to put it out.
So why is Kanye writing for Diddy? So he
I
wanted
don't
it
know.
out.
It's yeah. So if you think about it, it's because of P Diddy's because of P Diddy, Kanye got cancelled for the very first time.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say about it. It's funny, like he's supporting P Diddy. Like I don't even know he know that was just Jason Lee just told it on his podcast
Yeah.
maybe 3 days ago that Diddy was the cause of Kanye getting cancelled.
So wait, Jason Lee told Kanye that 3 days ago.
No, Jason Lee told it on his podcast.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness. At the
yeah.
end of the day, Kanye said it, so Kanye has to own up to it. But it is interesting that the interviewer wanted to protect him, but Diddy said, no, this is gonna make bank. We have to put this out here.
Yeah, because Jason Lee said because of Diddy was mad at Kanye. Now you can put it back to the Cassie thing because you can see maybe Diddy is a very vindictive person.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yes, I feel like he wanted to hurt Kanye. That's mean he's a person like who's very vindictive. If you don't do
Yeah.
what he asks you to do, he will go after you or try to destroy you like he want to like he was doing to Cassie. So I feel like
Wow.
it's all aligned together. Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I have to say
Thanks,
about this.
Milan. You're blowing my mind. That's why I'm like looking like this, like, oh my God. I
Yeah,
have
just
to go.
you should listen to that Jason Lee podcast. It was very insightful and say, wow, I didn't know that.
Wow,
It's
thank
because
you.
of Diddy.
Uh-huh.
It's because of Diddy Adidas drop Kanye because Diddy was the one say put the interview out, but the I think you know Noriega.
Yeah, God, no.
Yeah, he's a famous rapper. Well, yeah, he wanted to protect Kanye, but Diddy said no, put it out.
Wow. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go look for that podcast because I follow Hollywood Unlocked on Instagram, but I didn't know he had a podcast. So I'm gonna go look for that. Thank you, Milan. Oh my
you
God.
should do it. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye. Good
You
day.
too. Take care.
Bye
Have a
bye.
good day. Bye. Oh my God, you guys, the amount of juice that is coming in, I'm shook. Shook. Good morning, Deja. So nice to see you, and I love to hear it. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us for the morning report. Kind of savvy, sorry, was an adoptee, and so she's sharing her story. She says, "Hi, I was adopted. I'm Mexican and was adopted by a white family. Even though I was white passing, I still feel like part of my identity was erased." So sorry to hear that, kind of savvy. And yes, it's definitely true that it costs more to adopt white children through a lot of agencies, at least in the 90s when I was adopted. So I do have a question to ask you, if you don't mind, because you're talking about your identity, feeling like your identity was erased, even though you're white passing. Do you feel like a lot of it or some of it was erased because you were white passing? So you said you were adopted by a white family. Do you feel like they said, okay, listen, hang on one second. Hang on one second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to play the commercials and then I'll be back to ask you a question, okay? 1 second. The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than RHOA. RHOA is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today. That had something to do with your identity being erased, because it kind of felt like, maybe perhaps the idea there was that, because she can sort of pass, we're going to raise her as sort of one of our own and kind of ignore everything else and hope that in doing this, she is never going to ask any sort of question about that. Do you think that that might have been something that happened in your case? Sorry if it's a little bit too nosy of a question, but it is something that I do wonder. And, as far as feeling like your identity was sort of erased, what are you referring to? Do you feel feel as though there are certain traditions or stories about your culture? Do you feel like it's language, or not really being able to eat a lot of food from your culture growing up? Or is it sort of, underlying kind of veiled comments about your culture and different things like that, just, for our own education? Again, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm really sad that things turned out that way for you. And I hope that you were able to find different ways to connect with your culture now as an adult. Zendile, hey Zendile, my Grace, my Zendile. Nice to see you. Happy Monday. Hope you are doing well. Hi, Nikki Noriega. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean? BR says, I was an egg donor, and they pay different races different amounts. Also based on how educated you are, your age, how many times you donated, etc. And then of course, race as well comes into play. It's interesting you bring this up, because my sister was telling me about this sad story. I had no idea that one of my family members, for some reason, they're seeking a lot of Kenyan women as egg donors. Unfortunately, one of my family members, she didn't have a good time. She went to do an egg donation, and something about the process went wrong for her. And so she wound up passing away, unfortunately. So we were just talking about that over the weekend. It's crazy you brought this up, but I think it's really beautiful what you have done here. And I'm wondering, was it a good experience for you? Did you feel valued? Did you feel very supported throughout the entire process as well? And how does that work, if you don't mind me asking? My question is kind of, for example, with adoptions, right? You can have an open adoption, a semi-open adoption, a closed adoption. But when you're donating eggs, and then there is the chance of the child perhaps being curious about who they are biologically related to, are you okay with the idea of them contacting you? Like, does that kind of come into question? Very, very curious. You guys all have such really interesting backgrounds, and it's just so amazing how they've been able to fit into some of the stories that we've been discussing today. Good morning, Breed. Nice to see you, boo. And Trent is here. Hey, Trent, how are you? Happy Monday. The guy who plays Joanne the Scammer was adopted and raised to believe both his parents were white Anglos, and then later was informed he had two Black parents. Oh my God, the way I just felt my soul drop out of my body. That is sad. It is. And you know what? That reminds me of someone here in France. And it's a really, really sad story. I don't remember what his name is, but he was adopted by a racist white couple. And he's Black. He's Black like I'm Black, right? Like dark-skinned Black. And he was adopted by a racist white couple who's very extreme droite. So people who would like vote for like very racist candidates. Like, for example, here we've got Marine Le Pen, we've got Georges Zemmour. Like, these are really, really racist people, right? So his parents were like feeding this type of stuff to him, like to be very, very anti-Black, to be very extreme droite, all that kind of stuff. And so this is how he grows up. And so he's now on social media. He makes the rounds on like shows like The View, like equivalents to that, talking about these like points that like do nothing to serve him as a Black French person, because he was brainwashed, right? So again, yeah, some of the stuff that Caitlin and Tyler say is a little bit clumsy about adoption, but I do think that a lot of, there are a lot of very sad, scary like outcomes to adoption as well that need to be discussed, and these things can be among them. In Friday's episode, what were we talking about? Do you guys remember the young Black boy with the little fedora who's hugging the cop and he's crying, and then we find out the next year that he and his whole family they were adopted by this lesbian couple, and then they got into this fight, and then one of them who was driving the car drove the whole family off a bridge into like the ocean. And then they all drowned that way. You hear about all sorts. There's another family we're also talking about on Friday where it's this white couple. They adopted two Black children. They had them living in an outhouse, using buckets as toilets, and engaging in forced labor. It's not all sunshine and daisies, unfortunately. And I think that it's an industry like any other industry or business or whatever that should be questioned at times with the goal of improving it, or improving circumstances so that there's less of a need for it, right? Inspired by Nikki says, Noriega is the rapper Malen was talking about. Oh, in the Kanye Diddy story. Okay, thank you, Noriega. Thank you. So I'm going to be looking up that podcast after, because, this is some juice. I was not at all aware. In fact, I didn't even know that Jason Lee had a podcast. BR says, it was great. I love the company. Also, I did a program where instead of paying me, I get to keep half my eggs stored for free. Oh, I'm a non-donor. When the kids are 18, they get my info. That is so interesting. interesting. BR, thanks for bringing this information here. I've never spoken to a woman who went through with the egg donation process. This is very interesting, and I'm glad that you got to have your eggs stored as well. So congratulations to you. That's super beautiful. Kind of Savvy says yes and no. I did certain things to fit in with my white family, like dyeing my hair blonde, wearing green contacts, and avoiding the sun. I was never white enough for my family, but never Mexican. Oh, God. Enough for my Mexican American friends. My mother also would make backhanded comments about Mexicans growing up. I'm ready to fight her on your behalf, kind of savvy. And it really affected me. I wish that they would have made an effort to celebrate my background instead of shame it. I'm sorry. That is so sad. That is so sad. I really hope that you've been able to reconnect with your roots now as an adult. It's really unfortunate that, your adoptive family did not foster an environment for you to feel supported and loved while you explored it, or to foster a curiosity in you. It's almost like they attempted to plant seeds of self-hate in you. And I really don't like that. I don't, but you seem to be such a wonderful, smart person. And so I really, really do hope that you're able to celebrate your culture now, because it's a beautiful culture. I love, love, love Mexico. I love Mexican people. And so I really hope that you're able to explore that for yourself now. Dio says, oh my God, the couple who drove off a cliff and drowned is such a creepy story, isn't it? It was like a huge thing for like 24 to 48 hours. And then it completely disappeared from the news cycle, which is insane. So Noriega is Nor. You guys, thank you for putting me on. Listen, I am so out of the loop on music and whatnot. So thank y'all so much. I'm such a podcast girly that I'm out of the loop on this kind of stuff. Jaleesa's doing egg donation now. Wow, congratulations. I hope it goes well. You guys are doing so amazing, such amazing things. This is really, really beautiful. Congratulations, you guys. Bunny says, I'm sorry you had to go through that kind of savvy. No child should be mentally abused by their parents. I agree. It's really, really unfortunate. And, thanks for sharing your story. It's really, really sad. And again, this is why I think it's important when people like yourself or Caitlin and Tyler, anybody who's been involved in this industry, although Caitlin and Tyler are not adoptees, they've been involved in the adoption industry. And so I think you all have the right to share your perspectives and to share your stories. Zandila says egg donation is tricky in my Zulu culture because we are so spiritual. I once inquired when they were super aggressive, chickened out. I was dirt broke in uni. It was for the coin. Ooh, that's the thing. Yeah, it is challenging in certain cultures for sure. I wonder how it is here in Europe. Listen, I'm not someone who's really into pain, so I don't think I could do it. But I'm very curious about, what they think about it here. Because I know here you can't do commercial surrogacy. It has to be something that like you do as like an act of love or whatever, support for someone close to you. It's not, you can't do it for money. So I'm curious how they feel about egg donation and whatnot. I have seen some ads here and there, but not too much. And I'm sorry, Zendile, that you weren't able to donate. By the way, did I tell you I love your name? I was watching this show on Netflix. I think it was The Ultimatum, and there was a Zendile in there. I was like, wow, what a beautiful name. You guys, we've got our final story, the RHOA. I almost forgot. So I watched last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I wanted to kind of share some thoughts with you guys and get some of you guys' thoughts as well, okay? So we kind of start talking about Angela and her relationship with this Charles Barkley fella, and I don't know if y'all saw on the TikTok or on Instagram over the weekend, but there was some, what do you call it when like old tea comes back up? Resurfaced Wendy Williams tea. So Wendy Williams said that she was talking to Angela and Charles Oakley about her husband, her ex-husband now, Kevin Hunter, having a baby on her. And then apparently at this point, Charles goes off. And then Angela and Wendy are together. And Angela says, Wendy, it's just a baby. You could have worked through it. Wendy says, what do you mean it's just a baby? Have you gone through something like this? Angela pointed to her trifling husband, Charles. So I guess this is the real reason. Remember, she said that they had a separation, lived in separate houses when he got kicked out of Madison Square Garden. I think that was a cover story. I think the real tea was that this happened when he had a baby on her ass. And she probably threatened to leave him, but she didn't want to. And then they worked through it eventually, right? So I got to be honest with you guys. Every time you see this man, I think her man, and I think that Britney's man as well, I don't think their like husbands actually like them. Like just their way of like interacting with these ladies is like, may this love never find me sort of vibes, right? So we get into that. And then we see Angela go out with Brittany. And listen, this is not to shame the way they look or anything, but first of all, Angela, baby girl, Angela, okay? And then Brittany, when she speaks, it sounds like she cannot even breathe. So I'm just sitting here. I'm like, looking at these girls. I'm like, they're such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girls. Anyway, that made me kind of sad. I was really sad about that. And so Brittany tells Angela that she's going to come for Kenya after Kenya's shady comments about her engagement rings. Listen, I did think that Kenya was being shady about the engagement ring. I really, really did. But the way that Brittany was like a dog with a bone over that little comment was a little bit ridiculous, right? Which we will get into later. Of course, she starts threatening Kenya with all sorts of pistols and stuff. It's weird to me that production never took any kind of action against that, but they took action against Kenya for what she did. What Kenya did was wrong, yes, but production should have already nipped this in the bud, and Brittany should have been prevented from continuing to film with Kenya after making literal threats on camera, right? And the crazy thing about this that I have to actually bring up to you guys a little bit later is that when Kenya had filed her complaint, she actually did try to get HR to handle this and production to handle this. But they said that they conducted an investigation, and they found that Kenya was not telling the truth about that Brittany made no sorts of threat against her, which is crazy because I'm going to show you some receipts of her making those threats, right? And so Shamia, she starts debuting this song that she made, and I thought it was a really cute song. And there's something so weird about the way that everybody was so supportive of her song. They had their hands up in the air, and then you have her frenemy, Portia, just looking at her like this. So you see next to Portia is Angela vibing. She's got her hands up, she's clapping. And this is Portia's face when her friend is debuting her music on TV. We told you, Shamia, that girl does not like you. All those hoops you were bouncing through for this girl, and she doesn't like you. Look at Kenya. Kenya's vibing for you. Brittany was vibing for you. Everybody but Portia. Portia. Anyway, now Ralph and Drew, they were flirty in their scene together. Did y'all see the way that they were looking at each other during that scene? And I don't know what the heck is wrong with me, because I've never found this man to be attractive. But in this particular scene, he could homeboy could get it. In my Bella voice, he was looking the hell good, y'all. He was looking good. Super, super good. I don't know if it's the arms or it's the fact that he's not being mean to Drew, but he was looking hella good. And I see that Drew saw it too. Drew knew that he looked good. Look at her. She looked like she was talking to her crush. They were a beautiful couple. It's really, really sad that they could not make it work and that they were so toxic together, because they look good together. They have beautiful children together and everything, right? I think someone is asking, which one is Brittany? Let me show you Brittany, Jaleesa. Brittany is every time I hear this girl speak, I'm like, can she breathe? What is going on? And structurally speaking, whatever she had done with her nose, it looks fine, but it doesn't sound like she can breathe. And then you've got Angela Oakley, where the nose looks pinched to the gods, right? But at least she sounds like she can actually breathe. Listen, y'all, these American nose jobs for my Black girls, if you want to know where to get a good nose job for a Black girl, hit me up. I wouldn't have chosen to get my nose done there. I'm sorry to my American friends, but I as a Black girl would not get my nose done there. Absolutely not. Bunny says Britt told on herself she was a teenage thought and a blicky. What is a blicky? Please put me on. But the teenage thought thing is crazy. When she was bragging about being in men's magazines in high school, I was like, where are your parents and guardians? Is it too late for me to file a retroactive CPS report? Gio says Brittany's a teenage video vixen who dated Rick Ross. For someone who says she isn't a lady of the night, she acts very suspect. Oh, y'all are wasting no time going in on Brittany. Ralph having a right, and he looked good in his confessional look. What is wrong with me? Why was I into it? Oh, I'm telling you, I'm in a parallel universe right now, because right? Bunny says he has body oddy, right? Milk does a brother good. Indeed. Ace says he is attractive until he opens his mouth. And that's the sad part, it's always something. You can never seem to have it all in anybody, right? Like it's always something. They could be attractive in the face, but maybe they're not like all, maybe the body's not hitting the way you want it to, or maybe it's the brain that's not working all that well, or maybe it's the high, like something. There's always got to be something. Like, damn it, why can't we have it all? Why can't we? This says Brittany looks like she has a deviated septum. Yeah, I feel like something collapsed. Whatever they did, she needs to go back and get it done. It looks good, so maybe just do it from the inside. But you could just tell the girl. She has to be. She probably became a mouth breather because there's no way she's breathing through that thing. Sorry to say. We got to finally see the inside of Kenya's spa, Kenya Moore Hair Care, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. By the way, speaking of looks, right? Again, those ladies are beautiful. It's just with Brittany, the nose isn't working, so she can't breathe. And then with Angela, it's a little bit not a little bit, it's very much too pinched, right? And then there's someone who caught a lot of heat in the debut episode, and that was actually Kelly. People were talking about fillers, Botox, blah, blah. But I got to admit, when she was in that scene with Kenya at Kenya's spa, I thought she looked absolutely beautiful. I wanted to apologize to her on behalf of everybody because I think a lot of people were targeting her a little bit too much and being a little bit too mean about her particular looks. Does she not look beautiful to you guys here? Because I genuinely think she looks absolutely gorgeous in this photo. When I saw her in the salon and the way she was so colorful and everything, she went well with the decor of the salon. Does it look like she had stuff done? Yeah, but that's like the goal for some of these girls, And so if that's her goal, then she did a good job of it, in my opinion. You could tell, obviously, she's not natural. However, she still looks like a very, very pretty girl. So that's just what I thought. Yeah, of course, at first it was a little bit much, but now I'm really seeing it and I'm really digging it for her. She looks nice. And at first I wasn't really into her, to be honest with you guys. I thought that she was a little bit too much. I still think that she's way too loud. Every time she's talking, I'm like, please, indoor voice, right? However, I think she's pretty. And I think that she's a genuinely a nice person. So Kenya's salon is really beautiful. She talked about sinking $400,000 into it. And I only say sinking because she's talking like it's struggling and it's not making her any money. And she starts crying because she feels as though she might have just gambled Brooklyn's entire college fund, $400,000, you guys, right? And so she's asking Kelly, how did you make your businesses successful? I'm struggling to get people through the door, which makes me very sad for her. It's a very beautiful salon. You could tell she wanted to give everybody the best of the best. Is it true that this thing has shut down already? Because it seemed as though this thing was closed just months after announcing that it was open. So I was really surprised. Oh, Blicky is a pew-pew, like a gun. So she is a thought and a gun like that. Is that how you say it? Is that how you say it? Guys, listen, I'm tapped out on the slang these days. I'm around these Frenchies who in my experience with them, who don't really speak all that much English, and if they do, it's like, just hello, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Nothing like this. Blicky, I'm out of the loop, but I'm loving you guys putting me back on to the slang and whatnot, right? And AMJ, as much as I hate to say it, it's true. It is giving LaToya. It is giving Michael, sorry to the Janet fans, but it's giving Janet as well. Is Janet a fabulous lady? Yeah. But does this nose look like her nose too? Yeah, it does, right? Kelly had to bring her security guard with her to visit Kenya's salon. So she's bringing her security guard everywhere because her ex-husband threatened her physically in court, which is, to me, if a person can do that in front of a judge, in front of the police, in court and everything. Theo says he's not apologizing to her. Theo. Damn. Malenta, she looks like Ashley. No, you take that back. She does not look like Sesame Street. No, she doesn't. I think she looks so beautiful here. Done, yes, but beautiful nonetheless. She does not look like Deborah, Lord. But yeah, if you could do that in front of the judge, in front of lawyers, in front of police, then I think that's someone that would make good on their promise. So to me, I didn't find it to be too dramatic of her to actually bring a security guard. I thought it was smart of her to have that person around, right? So good luck. And good luck to Kenya as well, because I would hate to see her lose all that money. It feels like she didn't really try, though, if it is already closed. Benny says Kenya wanted her salon to be old school, but trolls flooded her calls with oh no. This is what I can't stand. When people take things to an ugly place. Yes, you don't like a person and the character that they portray on television, but to go and actually mess with them on this level in real life is crazy. And I did watch last night's episode of Gypsy Rose's show, and that's something else that I want to recap with you guys. But the lengths that people will go to harm people just because they do not like what, and it's always, listen, we don't know these people. We only know these little bite-sized portions of them that we see on TV, that were in the blogs or in the this, the that, right? We don't know them. So, this is why I'm saying, because you don't like the image of her, is crazy. That sucks. I really, really hate that they did that to her, because it is annoying how often these days, certain, for example, here in Paris, sometimes restaurants will ask you to put down a deposit. You're like, it's such a turnoff, right? Oh my God, I hate that people did that to her. Yeah, it's a Dwight, and Dwight got his nose fixed, by the way. So maybe he could put Angela on to the person that got his fix. Chocolate didn't know what blicky meant either. I'm on Urban Dictionary multiple times during the week. It keeps us young. It keeps our brain sharp, and I love it. Kelly's probably as shorter as I am, or taller. I'm 1.47. What is that? Oh my God, because I'm 1.69. So you must be 4'10" in feet, right? Oh my God, Zendila, you're a tiny little thing. That is so cute. Yeah, Kelly is so damn tiny. She really, really is. Now, speaking of Brittany, because I accidentally had her on my mind, because there was a moment that she had a dinner with her sister that really weirded me out. So she's sitting with her sister, and her sister's complaining because she hasn't been able to speak to her one-on-one or anything. And so Brittany, she keeps saying, well, no, I can't speak to you one-on-one. I've got my husband. And so her sister's like, so now I can't have a one-on-one relationship with my sister. It's going to be you and your husband. And it's just so weird. That's when I started, listen, ever since the first episode, I was already getting red flags about this marriage, right? No offense to Brittany, but it doesn't seem like her husband likes her. And I get vibes that, we're going to get into them a little later, but he's giving kind of TJ vibes, if you know what I mean, right? And so to hear that she can't have one-on-one conversations with her own sister without having to involve her husband because she's married, that is insane. Marriage is not a prison, right? Where you have to do everything with this guy. You should still maintain your one-on-one relationships with the people in your life nonetheless. To me, huge red flag. It sounds very, very controlling and weird, because if he has these boundaries in place for her sister, I can imagine what his boundaries are in place for her friends or just anything. And Brittany talked a lot in this episode about how she doesn't have friends. And I'm like, is it because your husband is controlling and doesn't allow you to have conversations with people that he's not involved in? Maybe that's why you don't have friends. Or maybe it's because you threaten everybody with pistols. Maybe that's why you don't have friends. I don't know. But I don't think that her husband is this great guy that she wants to make him out as being. I think that is just such toxic, insecure, weird behavior. Do not like it at all. Milan says Kenya should sue Bravo for not making her feel safe. I agree. And I think she did file a lawsuit, right? Sisoti says he was calling her while they were at a dinner. Thank you. That's the next point I wanted to make. So the food comes. She hasn't even really touched her food. And you're already hearing the text messages and the phone calls repeatedly. And she tells her sister that her husband keeps calling her that she needs to go back home. So she just got to the restaurant, ordered food. The food just got, so this would probably be in the span of an hour and a half. And he's already calling you to come back home. You don't have any kids at home waiting for you. That's weird. That is weird. Her husband's controlling. Her husband's weird. I think that's why she doesn't have friends. And I think that's why she doesn't have a good relationship with her sister. The husband wants to be the center of her universe. Ace says that the husband gives PIMP vibes. Oh my God. Yikes. You know what? He really doesn't seem to like her. I sense animosity when he's speaking to her. If I could be honest with you guys, I think the husband gives me down low vibes, if I can say that. Sorry. Not threatens everybody with Blicky. Yeah, we can say that now, right? Blicky. Fresh X Restless had made a song about Blick. Oh, okay. Y'all are putting me on. Y'all are putting me the hell on, and I appreciate it. So again, she didn't get to finish her food because the husband kept on calling and texting her to come home. Very weird stuff. Keep an eye out on that marriage and on that relationship. Do you guys think that they'll eventually have kids together? Or do you think that they might divorce first? Because this show might wake her up to how toxic he is. Because remember, on the Real Housewives of Potomac, we had Kiarna, who had her man, not her husband, but her boyfriend, Greg, who obviously was a hater of hers. And she couldn't see it until she got on the show. And she kept promising. Did she get her February engagement? she was talking about getting engaged to that man in February. I don't think they did. I think that we might see that with Britney and this man where they're talking about a baby, but maybe people are going to open up her eyes to the fact that this man is not great for her. He does not seem healthy at all as a partner, but at the same time, she seems extremely toxic as well. So Angela organized a cast dinner, and when everyone was talking about this area of Atlanta, the bank or something like that, Bankhead, like they were saying it's like a rough part, like it was giving like, ooh, child, the ghetto, right? But then we pull up to the place, absolutely stunning. It was like they were in a vault at the bank, like stunning. This was giving rich. I loved it. I think it was worth the trek. Maybe it's not in a good neighborhood, like the girls say, but this is so worth the trek. That is so freaking cool. She gave everyone a black dress code, so everybody wore black, with the exception of Kenya Summer Moore over there in her turquoise dress, talking about, I didn't know there was a dress code. I don't have any black. Girl, bye. Everybody has a little black dress, a black top, a black skirt, a black something in their wardrobe, right? Then Shamia comes with her literal olive branch for Angela, which I thought was really sweet. But then in her confessional, she made another nose joke. So I was like, okay, are you really sorry though? Doesn't seem like it, right? I did love her dress though. It was really, really beautiful. I love, what do you call that? That kind of beading where it almost looks like water, like dropping off of you. Stunning. It really, really was. So the girls just talk a little bit. And as much as I'm liking Kelly now, I didn't love the way that she called out Drew for not buying anything from Belmont, because here's the thing. She showed face, and I think that's worth a lot. And she posted it on her social. And, as someone like, in PR and marketing, that's worth money, right? It's free advertising for you, your association, the brand, all sorts of things. So even if she didn't put money in your pocket, she did in a different way, right? And so maybe she's having financial issues because she's dealing with all of this custody stuff, this divorce stuff with Ralph. She's got these children to look after. And so to call someone out over finances like that, listen, it is typical housewife stuff though, right? So I'm not going to be too about it, but I was like, damn, that kind of sucked. And then when Shamia, we already talked about it, right? When Shamia was playing her song, everybody was loving it except for her number one hater, Portia. Very weird energy. And speaking of weird energy, Britney, the way that she was just so obsessive over Kenya and having Kenya's attention and stuff, they were asking each other these anonymous questions, and Kenya got asked 3 questions. I said, I know Britney's stalker asked those 3 questions. Like, it was so weird, right? And so basically it was like, oh, will you ever be able to talk to Britney without having an attitude? And so Kenya's like, yeah, I think I'd be able to talk to anybody without having an attitude. And then Britney goes crazy on her. She starts freaking out, like, the question's about me. I'm like, girl, you asked her what color her underwear is, you weirdo. Like, it was too much. And so for some reason, we go from talking about whether or not Kenya could be polite to this girl threatening her with pistols or blickies, as the cool people say, right? So here she is. I mean, I still got my pistol because the girl asked you about your engagement ring. And then Kenya even hugged her when she said hello to her. But that wasn't good enough for Britney. She said, you tapped me, because it was a hug with a little tap. That wasn't enough. Britney wanted boob to boob action, perhaps some puss to puss. Like, it's weird. She's giving stalker. It's weird. It's too much, right? Then again, as they're walking out, she says it again. Pistols. I've got, what did she say? She said she's packing heat. She got whips. She's got pistols. She's got everything. Because she asked you about an engagement ring? Because she gave you a church hug? Because she said she could be polite to you and anybody? That's crazy, Britney. That's crazy. You were giving scorned lover. And at this point, I start noticing, wait a minute. I think she's got that look of crazy in her eyes. Y'all know the look of crazy. You can tell when someone's got a little bit of crazy in them. They start getting that look in their eyes. Oh, it's not looking good. It's not. And so, mind you, Kenya already said that this happened, and people said she was exaggerating and lying. Do you remember this from People magazine? Quote, at the time, an insider told People that Moore was retaliating after Edie allegedly threatened her co-star using the word gun. However, a second source close to production disputed that, saying, at no time was Kenya ever threatened with a weapon, nor was there ever a weapon present during the course of production. At no time was she threatened with a weapon? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Whips, pistols? That's one time. Here's the second time. I still got my pistol. Why are they lying like that? Why the F you lying? Why you always lying? My God. Stop effing lying. That's crazy. That's crazy that they would do that. And it was caught in 4K twice. Kenya Summer Moore hair care doesn't need to follow dress codes, period. You know, she is problematic AF, but I like her. I still do, nonetheless. Kahara says, I work off Bankhead. I'm never scared over there. They must have just been exaggerating. Like the whole, you know, I'm too rich for this area. And the area is just like some normal working class, middle class neighborhood. Bunny says, Kenya is the moment. Twirl girl. And the sad thing is that they let this thirsty girl run her off the show. They should have gotten rid of Brittany. It should have never gone that far. Yes, Kenya miscalculated, misstepped, but they should have handled this before she, you know, even took things to that level. Felicity says, that's like my aunt and her boyfriend. She can't go out with him without him. And if she does, her location has to be on and he picks her up and drops her off. Ooh, that's brutal. You know, that reminds me of this lady at the hair salon. I used to go to this hair salon in Chateau Rouge. If you know, you know. And this is before I knew about the application. And so I would go to this hair salon and there would be this girl there. And she was telling a story similar to, you know, the way that your aunt is living, Julie. So she says that her husband doesn't let her have friends. Her husband doesn't let her text or call anybody. And the only time she ever gets to go out is to get her hair done. And same thing, the husband drops her off and picks her up. And she's talking about wanting to have kids with this man. I said, girl, do not involve kids in this nonsense. You look for an escape and you get the hell out of there, because that does not make any damn sense. And once you have kids with a man like that, good luck. Good luck. Kel says, why is Shamia obsessed with her nose? Right. She keeps on bringing it up, even after extending the olive branch. It's not fair. It's not nice. You know, and Shamia's a pretty girl, but we can go in on that hair that she keeps on rocking. I don't like the short hair that she keeps on rocking. It doesn't look great. You know, I love short hair, of course, but like she just does this like mushroom cut thing. I don't know. Ramel says, I didn't watch the episodes. And to be honest, the internet shows all the clips. Exactly. Sometimes, you know, especially when they do like the preview clips that are like 5 minutes a piece, you're like, why did you just show me everything? What am I watching? Steph, good morning. So you know why you're running late, quote unquote? It's because my time change that finally happened. So now we're really back to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. B Chocolate says, RHOA jumped the shark long ago. I don't know why Bravo is so reluctant to take the series to new cities. I've been dying for Housewives of New Orleans. I've been dying for Housewives of Houston. You know, I've been dying for Housewives of, hang on. Tennessee. No, I'm not looking for Tennessee, I don't think. No. Hawaii. Can you imagine the Housewives of like Hawaii? That would be cool too. There's so many cool places that they can bring it, right? She says Seattle would be cool too. Ooh, Seattle. You know, Seattle reminds me of Vancouver, which reminds me of Housewives of Vancouver and how that turned out thanks to Jodie Clayman. Mind you, look at how her life turned out. Look at how her daughter's life turned out after that show. That was insane. Sisoti says, I agree. Britt is mentally unstable. Yeah, she's off. She is. Bunny says the restaurant looks like a stage prop made out of foam board. Really? I thought it was so beautiful. Damn, I guess I've got cheap taste then, because I was like severely impressed. I said, now that is what I'm looking for over here from my Housewives girls. You know, you saw it in delay. She said, I want you to squeeze me harder. I want you to squeeze me with passion when you hug me. Like, what a weirdo. What a weirdo. Sorry, Joy. It was a weird episode. This is what happens when you cast fans onto the show. You know, they get weird and they try too damn hard. Ateka says she's still the peasant. Thank you, Kenya. Right? I'm so sad that they got rid of Kenya for this girl. And Kenya was doing so well. We saw her getting along with Portia. We saw her getting along with Shamia. We saw her getting along with Drew. Like, this was going to be a good season. Why would they do this? Teresa says he even accused my aunt of having an affair with me. Listen, these insecure men, be careful. They will run you to the ground, ruin your life, make you so damn miserable, sad. Just, it's terrible. Hey, Dawn, welcome. We've been going for so long. I think this is our longest morning report, you guys. Sorry, y'all. Good morning, Orange. Yes, we are live, and we're about to sign off. We just finished with our Housewives of Atlanta recap. Farrah's in the house as well. Farrah, I can't believe Kenya lost her coin over a fan looking for a moment. Me neither. She should have handled that a lot better. That's the thing about her and like the Candace types. They are bulls in China shops. They don't really move as strategically as they should be able to, right? And we all know Portia doesn't have much going on, but one thing Portia does have is strategy and like social skills of like really being able to manipulate and to be conniving. And I need for Kenya to be able to do that a little bit better, because she could have shut her out. She could have refused to film with Brit. She could have, cried, let me get like a restraining order. I need a security guard to be around this girl, because these are very serious threats that the girl made, not once, but twice, So I do think that she had, all the right to complain, but she took it to a very ugly level. East Awesome says, Shamia and Kelly are my two favorites. They're so damn entertaining. They're doing a really good job. I like Kelly, and I feel bad for misjudging her at first just because of, how loud she was. Says, Kenya was completely right when she said, who is this hoe about Brittany? I want her off my screen. I agree. They bet on the wrong horse. They did. But they always do this to Kenya. Like, there have been so many opportunities to protect Kenya, and they failed. Remember when Portia was dragging her by her hair? Remember when there was that weird lady that looked like kind of like a black Miley Cyrus, and her like nephew flashed gang signs and then threatened to beat up Kenya and the women, and then all the ladies blamed Kenya for it and defended him. Like, there was a lot. Remember he knocked down his own aunt and they were still blaming her for Kenya for it. Like, there's a lot of moments where you're like, guys, what are you doing? Steph says, Bravo fumbled the bag, getting rid of Kenya, period. This is going to be such a good Sweet 16 season, and they flopped. They flopped so hard. He says, each time they try to take a new city, it fails in a major way. Dallas, Dubai, and DC all failed. Yeah. You know what the problem is? I think it's no longer organic. All these people are fans of the show. And so they just want to like act like they're faves, and try to carve out these niche. They're only on it to build a business, gotta, get their brand out there and whatnot. It's not what it used to be, before the social media, before this was like a thing that would be proven to get you famous, Chocolate says, Grace being smart. Yeah, yup. Listen, we all unfortunately know these men and what they can do to our lives, right? So once you've been through an insecure man one time, you just know never to do it again. Ellie says, we're having the bar low with Portia's social skills. Right. But she's got Bravo eating out of her hand. She has whipped 5 people's behinds on that network, and they're still like pushing her as the face of it. Like, and there's still people that will defend her to the bone over every single altercation. Like, that is how good her manipulation skills are. Right. Kate says, I had a feeling time change was coming. Right. Yeah. Really. I didn't feel it this time around. I didn't. Bunny says Portia's business meeting was fake. Yeah, that was weird. I was like, okay, what are we even talking about? And then I did think it was funny the way that the producers were playing around with her. They were like, she's like, my business isn't just me. We've got a lawyer. It's Portia spelled one way. We've got HR. Portia spelled another way. She lists all these positions that they just keep spelling her name a different way. I thought that was funny. Kasari says, I heard the Carly photos from her school page. Oh yeah, I heard that too. I wonder if it was a fellow student or clout thirsty parent. I think it's a clout parent. Mom named Karen. Yep, I agree. I think that's what it was. And thank you for reminding me. I forgot to mention that a bit earlier. Cause sorry. Trent says it's weird how once Kelly's fillers deflated, I started being more open. Right, like at first it was harsh. And let me put up her picture again, because we got to stop playing with her. Don't play with her. Don't play with her. She is a beautiful girl. I hate that she was shown as like the face of like, botched RHOA. No, like, she's pretty. Yeah, maybe it was harsh or maybe a little bit jarring at first, because typically the RHOA girls don't really look like this. It's typically like the Beverly Hills girlies that are going to be overdone, over plumped or whatever. So it was a little bit jarring. But as far as all that stuff is concerned, I don't think she's all that jarring. I think the thing that to me is the most distracting is Angela's nose, but I still do think that she is beautiful nonetheless. And I like that, like, she owns it. Shamia has insulted her about it a couple times to her face, and she just kind of laughs it off and then does her own digs and stuff. And how disrespectful is Andy Cohen? Because when she was on his Watch What Happens Live, I was listening to the podcast last week. He was like, oh, Shamia makes fun of your nose. Let's do a segment about iconic noses in Bravo. And it's just all this stuff. I was like, Andy, you were an asshole. You were so messy, right? Thank you, Star. Thank you. And thank you as well to you too, Jaleesa. I'm having so much fun talking to you guys. You know what I think it is? I think it's the call-ins and like being able to talk to you guys for an extended amount of time, and then like, talk to more stories as well. So you know what? Let's keep it this way. It's so much fun. Theo says, I may be one of Portia's peaches on the down low. I tend to agree with everything she does. Do you? So how did you feel about like her in last week's episode telling her mom that like Shamia might be a fake friend. And then this week, her like downplaying Shamia's music, pretending she doesn't know Shamia's singing voice and that it was Drew's. What do you think? Bunny says Portia of RHOA and Teresa of RHONJ must have something on Andy. They can do no wrong. Right? Right? It's so weird the way that he like attaches to some of them. And Yvonne is here. Good morning, Yvonne. Nice to see you. Welcome to your first morning report. So nice to have you here. So we got a couple more questions that I'll wrap up before I have to head out. Listen, guys, I'm going to go do some watercolor painting at the park, and I don't want to lose my son. It's almost 6 o'clock here. Steph says, Kelly reminds me of Lil' Kim. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Ataka says, I love the Kelly and Kenya scene. Yeah, I loved it too. We saw a very, very, very vulnerable, sweet side to Kenya there, about really investing in her business. And now hearing the way that people were harassing her in her business, causing it to shut down, really angers me for her. I don't like when people take their dislike of these stars into real life to really mess with them and their livelihood. I don't think that's okay. And Kelly seems to be a very, very sweet girl behind all of the loudness and whatnot, a very smart girl as well. And so I'm really hoping that I continue to like her. Please don't ruin this for me, Kelly. I need someone to root for. Kel says, Andy will forever be a messy individual. Period. He is a mess. And on that note, you guys, we are done with today's episode of the Morning Report. As usual, I had the greatest time talking to you all. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about the day's hottest topics. We go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so keep an eye out for tomorrow's episode of the show as well. If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you enjoy my content, and it really helps to support my channel. Take good care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll see you tomorrow.